Will Missouri make it 3 straight years, winning 10 or more games, with a new sheriff in town at quarterback? John Miller, Locked On Mizzou, is here to discuss that very fact. Is Beau Pribula, the Penn State transfer, who was a backup, of course, left Penn State in the middle of their potential championship run? They went to the playoff semifinal, and that's the way this weird, wacky college football calendar works, John. But is he locked into the starter? And if so, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think he's the definite safe bet to be your starter next season. You usually don't pay somebody reportedly $1.5 million or so in NIL money to not be the starter. But at the same time, Missouri keeps saying Sam Horn, a two-sport guy, baseball and football for Missouri, actually coming off of Tommy John surgery. He should be pretty much a full go here in spring. He's got a definite shot at it, a former top 100 type player. But Pribula, definitely the safe bet. And I think he's shown enough in limited action with Penn State, enough upside for Missouri fans to get excited about.
The upside is real. Dual threat kind of guy. Came in Wildcat situations with Penn State frequently a season ago. But even with Missouri's schedule, which we will get to in this segment, is one of the craziest things I have ever seen. And I triple checked before I came on here to record because it just didn't quite look right. Is Pribula the kind of guy that you think just slides in and, is Missouri's system good enough, or a combination of the two, to where it's going to be, Missouri's a 9-10 win team in the SEC again this year?
I think, man, assuming 9 to 10 wins is tough. It really is. I think if you look at FanDuel right now, I think the total over/under for the season is 6.5.
7.5. It got touched up a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. I was going to say I would bump that up to probably 7.5. That was just what I was going to say. That seems like a little bit more of a fair number to me. So 9 or 10. That seems a little bit bold for a guy who's never been a full-time starter before. I would say if Eli Drinkwitz can pull off 10 this year, heck, get another extension coming. I think more realistically 2026 may be the year where Missouri really breaks out again.
When you look at where the Tigers have been at quarterback the last couple of years with Brady Cook, how do you feel like Beau Pribula can step in with the weapons around him? No Luther Burden now, off to the NFL draft this season. How do you feel like that quarterback production is going to change, maybe for better or for worse? Or do you think it's capable of just staying the same?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I think Pribula can definitely be a Brady Cook type of quarterback eventually. I think he's even got higher upside than that. But of course, Cook, a very much an experienced guy, a steady hand at the position. That's my thing, the experience part of it. But I do think there's a chance Pribula steps in and really carries this offense, to be certain. But I would assume maybe Missouri leans a little bit more run heavy this season, and considering where Pribula came from, Penn State, maybe leans on the tight end passing game a little more than Drinkwitz has so far at Missouri.
What do you want to see from Beau Pribula in the spring to give you signs of hope that, hey, this might not be a soft reset sort of year and Missouri might be, right back in the playoff hunt?
I kind of just want to see him take the reins in the leadership role. I don't know how much you can really learn in terms of actual football in the spring these days, especially with limited access. But I think you can learn things from quotes from players in particular. Coaches are usually going to kind of obviously put their coach speak on it. I think sometimes the players, they're always told to not say anything, but they can give you little hints. If they're feeling great about a guy, I think they tend to let you know. And maybe if there's a question mark there, or perhaps they're leaning another way at the position, I think that stuff tends to come out.
I want to get to Missouri's schedule, because this is another factor in looking at whether the Tigers are a 10-plus win team again this year. And of course, it was 10-2 in 2023, 9-3 in 2024, and then they won the bowl game against Iowa. But this is the strangest schedule maybe in the country, John. It's wacky, bizarre, very weird, but at the end of the day, pretty beneficial for Eli Drinkwitz and the Tigers, and very manageable, again, in a lot of ways, because the scheduling hasn't rotated kind of to the next crop of teams that you're going to match up with yet. So, Texas has got another favorable schedule. Oklahoma's is really hard again. Florida's is really hard again. It's kind of the same storylines for the most part, schedule-wise. But Missouri plays each of their first 6 games at home. There are no neutral sites. There are no road games. Nothing. Just 6 straight games in Columbia. I mean, how did their athletic director pull that off?
I don't know. It was quite a coup, I suppose. I think Greg Sankey may deserve a little credit there too. But yeah, I think the Missouri-Kansas game coming back, getting snuck in there has something to do with that. But I'll tell you, last year Missouri started with four straight home games, and as somebody who goes to all the games, I'll be honest, I was kind of like, when the time the road game came along, I was like, oh, I kind of needed a break. I'm not going to lie. My liver
TV is a good invention. I want to use it.
Absolutely. I like my projector down in my basement. I'm not going to lie to you. So it was nice to get some use out of it. But yeah, really considering the real advantageous part about this, it's not so much the 6 to start. It's that you don't get then 4 in a row on the road. You get 2 in a row on the road, 4 total on the road. So you get 2 on the road, then 2 at home, then 2 on the road to finish. So again, it did kind of it's lying out pretty good for Missouri right now in terms of scheduling.
It's just weird. By the time that first road game comes around, and remind me who that first road game's against?
Auburn.
Yeah, got to go to Jordan-Hare, which is one of the most haunted places in all.
Great pronunciation, by the way.
Thank you. You got to go to Jordan-Hare and try to win your first road game where you won't have been all year. I mean, heck, I would take a G5 or FCS matchup at that point just to get my team in the mode of understanding what it takes to win a road game, to go away from home. They're going to be such homebodies. I mean, that's a month and a half, and they're not going to go anywhere, which is great on the one hand, but boy, early outset, I don't know how good Auburn's going to be with Jackson Arnold at quarterback, right, John. But right now, just based on that, I'd say I don't know that Missouri is going to go down to Auburn and win that game.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. Of course, Missouri has Alabama and South Carolina at home before this, so we're going to learn a lot about the Tigers before we get down to Jordan-Hare Stadium. And hopefully it'll be positive things, obviously, from my perspective. But it is interesting. Yeah, Auburn, Oklahoma, the teams that have sort of flipped on Missouri, the home to road, for sort of the negative side. I am worried about Auburn maybe taking a step forward. I'm worried about Oklahoma taking a step forward. But at the same time, I'm really glad we've got the Tide at home, and I'm glad we've got South Carolina at home. So I think my point there is, I think I would rather have it the way it laid out than it laid out last year, when all the talk was, well, Missouri had an easy schedule, and also, what the heck are they doing playing at Massachusetts? Well, to your point, Spencer, maybe there's method to the madness. They got that early road game out of the way against UMass, that type of deal.
Yeah, just get you familiar with the process of it.
Right.
Not, hey, here's your first road game in over a year, pretty much, and here you go. You get to go down to one of the rowdiest environments in the country. I'll get you out of here on.
I was just going to say, I'll correct myself really quickly. I do realize, actually, Missouri's first road game last year was against Texas A&M, and they got beat down pretty hard in that game. So hopefully, to your point, hopefully history won't repeat itself again, and maybe, like you said, the schedules may get a lot tougher for Missouri in 2026, you would assume. So that may throw some cold water on my previous theory.
I want to get you out of here on this, John. Who's the most important transfer for the Tigers? The portal's such a big thing now. Everybody uses it to a different extent. Even Dabo Swinney's dipping his toe in the water on the transfer portal. One guy from the portal that has to stand out or have, close to a ceiling caliber year for the Tigers to be a 9-10 win team.
Well, I think a lot of people would say Damon Wilson, the edge transfer from Georgia. Everybody expects him to be a really, really good player. I'm going to go in a little different direction, though, just because I feel pretty good about Missouri's front four. I'm going to say Stephen Hall from Washington State. That transfer at cornerback. I think Missouri, in 2023, 2022, and 2023, they had 2 NFL caliber cornerbacks on the outside. That wasn't necessarily the case last season. If Missouri can raise the level of play on the outside, I think that defense could be pretty nasty.